welcome here to another edition here at VSN. Here, a little post-game wrap here on a Wednesday night. We're just getting done with the Lakers Grizzlies game. We got Miami and the Bucks finishing up the game here, and then we got Denver and Minnesota. We'll kind of touch on that game as well. We got a lot to get into. We'll also touch on the Thursday night games here on VSN. We're ready. We're happy to do this. And Tyler, you're back with me doing it, and now we got a special guest here. We got Doug. How you doing, Doug, over there? You ready to talk some hoops here tonight?
Guys, I'm excited to be here with you. Obviously, we've followed each other pretty closely on Twitter recently. Been interacting a lot. It's great to be here with you guys. Excited to talk hoops.
Tyler, me and you, as we've been doing this right over the last few years, we have built up a friendship, built up a place in America that I never thought I would have connections with in any regard. That is Memphis, Tennessee, folks. So let's start there with the game today. And let's start with the game that just finished up. We have the Grizzlies. I say they get that hard-nosed kind of Memphis-style win, 103-93, without Ja Morant in the game, who obviously injured his wrist in the last game on the charge call that we talked about last episode as well. Tyler, my son, Xavier, he was very happy with that. The X-Man showed up, made his first 6 shots. 7th shot was like a heave anyways. A lot to get into. Davis wasn't very good. He took an elbow to the face. Of course, he's kind of got something banged up. Your thoughts, sir, on the game?
I think you mentioned it from the get-go. Xavier Tillman is the guy you need to step up in games like this. When your best player's out in Ja Morant, you need a guy who you don't expect to step up, and he just stepped up and he played beautifully. He outplayed Anthony Davis. As shocking as that sounds to like the normal person, he outplayed him. Anthony Davis wasn't the same player he was in game 1. He did show up defensively, but the offense wasn't there. I found early on that LeBron couldn't take advantage of the Xavier Tillman matchup early in the first half. He kind of took advantage of it in the second half. The first half, he couldn't take advantage. They got down. LeBron ended up with the numbers. He's LeBron James. He's going to get his numbers. But big win for Memphis without Ja Morant. Tyus Jones played well. Desmond Blaine played very well. It was just a good game for Memphis. And my guy, Dylan Brooks, the guy I hate more than anybody in the league, limited to 23 minutes. I think that's a big factor. The foul trouble helped the Grizzlies out in the long run, in my opinion, and they pulled out a W.
Well,
so we got a 1-1 series. It looks like a long series, and I'm excited. I hope it goes 7.
Tyler, we got some Memphis guys that might say that same thing about number 23 on the Warriors as well.
Hopefully they are saying the same thing.
I think they are right now. Doug, interested to get your takes here maybe on the game here, sir.
I was going to touch on a little bit the way the Grizzlies play when Ja Morant is out of the game is a really proactive style of basketball. Yeah. I would like to talk about Tyus Jones. He is, in my opinion, the most complete backup point guard in the league right now. He can run a team. He can knock down a shot when you need it. You trust him when your best player is out to make sure your guys are in the right spots. He's a great on-court leader. I think that showed really brightly tonight. He ended up with 10 points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds. I mean, he just sets the table so well for guys like Bane, for Kennard, for Tillman, for Triple J. The offense, I think, moves a little more freely when Ja's out of the lineup. And I think Tyus Jones did a great job tonight, keeping everybody going in the same direction. It helps when you get an effort from Xavier Tillman like he had tonight. Yeah. But you still had Bane get you over 15. Triple J showed up again tonight. I think the Grizzlies are in a really good spot going back to LA 1-1 here.
Tyler, let's touch on his point there he made about Tyus Jones. I was talking to our guy Ant, obviously big Memphis guy there. We have a good relation with him, and we were talking about that Tyus Jones value. Like for one game, like Doug mentioned, like Jones can come in and the team won't be able to lose much in terms of winning one game, right? Like that they can. We saw that last year with Memphis when they played the Warriors. They'll dig in when they didn't have Morant in there, and they were used to it now. They played 4 of the last 5 playoff games without him in the lineup. That's why he's the highest paid backup point guard in the league for this reason, I think, right here. I didn't realize he was an 8-year veteran. My gosh, I'm getting old. That part is happening to it, too. So I saw that with him. But the very impressive effort, Tyler, by Tyus Jones. And, of course, I mean, remember the foil, a Donald foil for the Warriors, 22 points. I mean, that's just like gold at that point for the Grizzlies, right? I mean, that is gold. So it'll be hard to repeat that, but a win's a win at this point, and you move on. What are your thoughts on Tyus Jones that what Doug brought up there?
I think he brings up a good point. He is the best backup point guard in the NBA. He reminds me a lot of Sean Livingston when he was on the Warriors, where Curry came out. You could do different things. It wasn't like you didn't just go to shit when Curry left the game like he does now with Jordan Poole trying to run the point. Tyus Jones keeps the team intact. We saw it against the Warriors, like you said. They beat us by 50 when Ja got hurt. After the game, he went out against the Warriors. Tyus Jones is a great player. Another thing I want to bring up is the score, 103-93. A good, like, it wasn't 130, 120. And it wasn't exciting. It was still a good game. There was still action. This is the type of NBA basketball I like to watch. I don't want to see this no defense like of game. It was a fun game. And the Grizzlies earned their victory.
I gotta shout out our guy Savage here. 3 the Hardaway, great podcast, by the way. Go check them out here. Great basketball podcast. They're gonna be doing another one Sunday. Talk about falling asleep. I used to tell my wife this when she said she had a hard time falling asleep at night. Just turn on my podcast if it's that. It'll help you fall asleep. Savage, if you fall asleep to it, let me know. So that's what I used to tell her. I can't sleep. Well, you say you'll watch the podcast, put it on there. All right, last thing I have on the game here I just wanted to touch on is the Lakers side of it real quick. Is Hachimura. I mean, my goodness. I mean, this guy has been a revelation here, Tyler. I mean, and Doug out of Gonzaga here, he kind of found his stroke. I mean, he's getting open looks, but Doug, he's making them. He's performing. I mean, is this a new man, or is this just a Austin Crozier, Indiana Pacers thing? What's going on here?
So, in my opinion, Rui was a good pickup for the Lakers either way. Yeah. I understand the three-point shot has been big in this series in the first 2 games. We don't really expect him to be that kind of guy. But to be fair, Rui is a big 6'9", 6'8", 6'9" guy. He gives you the ability to switch onto other forwards. So if he's in the lineup with LeBron's not stuck on the best forward on the other team. I like Rui for more reasons than just what he's doing in these playoffs. But, man, is he knocking down that corner jumper right now. 30 in game 1, and he gets you 20 again tonight. I thought this tonight would be like maybe a 10-point game where he's not, 10 and 3 and maybe an assist, but he comes out and gets you 20, 5 rebounds, and he gives you solid defense, and the Lakers need that. And I just thought Rui's really shown quite a bit here with the Lakers in his short stint.
Only the Wizards. They give him up, and he performs there. We got 7 people in tuned in. Appreciate you guys checking out the show here. A little post game here, talking about the Lakers Grizzlies recap. Big win there for the Grizzlies, 103-93. Tyler, your thoughts on that? You're on mute, sir, so let's unmute you. You do sound better when you're muted. I will agree with that. You're still muted, sir. All
right, I'm not muted anymore.
There we go. Welcome back.
Once again, Doug, you nailed it. It's good to have you on the show. He's a big body who can guard multiple positions. He does things on both sides of the court. The three-point shot has been a revelation this series. He's the perfect player to play in this offense. My concern with the Lakers is the point guard position. D'Angelo Russell gives you nothing. He doesn't guard anybody.
5 points?
He's terrible.
He's god awful. He gave you 5 points on 2 of 11 shooting. He does nothing defensively.
But he had 19 points last game, and that's part of why they won, right? Because he's streaking.
I don't know if he was part of it. He scored, but they're empty calories every time he puts up points. Darren, you saw as a Warriors fan when he was on the team, he provided nothing. Even when he scored 35, it was in a losing effort. When he puts up points, you don't win. That's my biggest concern with the Lakers. Rui was spectacular again tonight. I think.
Is this a real thing, though, Tyler? Is this a real? Is this like legitimately?
I think it is him on this roster. I think he fits in perfectly with this. He doesn't have to take tough shots. He gets a couple mid-post shots or his toughest shots, and then he just shoots open threes and gets layups. It's a perfect fit. He's a big body, and he can guard multiple positions. He does a great job on Triple J. So I really like the Rui addition. It's the point guard position that really scares me off.
I do think this is a perfect series for Rui also because the Warriors have guys that are similar size to him. Like they have the strong wings like Bane, like Triple J. They have guys that aren't massive or too small to really play him off the court. So I think the matchup with the Grizzlies does help him stay on the court more than maybe a series where he's chasing guys against maybe a Golden State or something like that. I think the matchup helps a little bit too with his minutes.
Yeah, no doubt about that at all. I completely agree. I think it'll be interesting going into LA now, right? Let's transition there just for a second, and we'll kind of move on to the Bucks.
Hold on, before we leave Rui, is there a better Gonzaga player in the last 30 years? Like, since Gonzaga's been relevant?
What's
like,
the guy with the white guy with long hair? What's the guy that took out your guy? Took out Kevin Love. What's his name and everything?
Dan Dickow? I don't know.
Kelly Olynyk.
Kelly Olynyk.
Is he better than Rui?
Kelly Olynyk's a solid role player. I don't know.
Well, at this point in his career, he's been definitely more productive. Let's say at that point. All right, hey, real quick. Game goes to LA 1-1. I think this is where it gets interesting. You know, we'll see. Just real quick, Tyler, you think they split, or does one take the lead there? Or like somebody go 2-0 in LA?
I think we're splitting again. We're going to go to Memphis for Game 5, and whoever pulls out Game 5 will somehow find a way to win this series. It's going to be a long series. It's going to be a good series. I think it's competitive all the way through.
Doug, you got the same or you got different?
Totally in the same boat. I've got it 2-2. I would not be surprised, though, in Game 3 if the Lakers don't come out hot and maybe have like a 15-point win. I did want to ask you guys a quick question.
Yeah.
Do you think LeBron still has the gear? Because first 2 games he got the 28 tonight. He was 21 in Game 1. Do we have that gear still where we put the pedal down and he gets to maybe 35? It just doesn't seem like he's taken that next gear yet. Do you guys think he still has it?
Go ahead, T.
Let me answer this first. If Xavier Tillman was ever guarding LeBron James in the playoffs before this season, it would have been a different story. I know the numbers look good. Like, LeBron's going to be efficient, but he might get to 35, but it's not going to be the same dominance that it was in previous seasons.
Yeah, I'm talking about like a pour-it-on 35. Like,
yeah, there's not that.
We can't stop this guy going to the rim.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
there's definitely a step that's been going. He's still a great player.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah. I think there's a step that's missing.
His mind is unreal. The man has one of the greatest minds there. I mean, like, and he's just a physical freak. He's maybe the greatest specimen that's ever played basketball of all time. I mean, his mind.
I don't think it's close,
but he can't take over the game quite like he used to consistently like that. But I wouldn't put it past him for like a game or two, right? Like we did. Like that's the part is like he can still for him a lot. I feel like his game for now. He has to make a couple threes too.
Yeah, the 1 of 8 tonight really held him back from getting the big numbers.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like that's part of it as well with that game is like, can LeBron, we'll get to can LeBron, and that's where Davis tonight, he can't give you 13 points and 8 rebounds. You're not going to win. I mean, come on. If you told me that they would lose by 10, you're like, I mean that, and Davis only gave you 13. You think you got blown out by more maybe in some regards. I don't know. I just thought that was part of it too. What you got?
There was just times where I'd hate to harp on Xavier Tillman, but where he would settle for 3-pointers without even taking one dribble in the first half. Like, I'm not the biggest LeBron fan, and this is how great I think LeBron is. There's no way he should not be taking one dribble against Xavier Tillman and settling for a top of the key 3-pointer. It's just not LeBron James who he ever was. Obviously, he's going to get 28, 12, and 3. Like, you can't complain about it, but it's not the same LeBron.
And then, I mean, even possessions where Daniel Roddy's on him, and he's not taking Daniel Roddy off the dribble, and it just seems, as an Ohio guy, watching him play for so long, it's a different thing when he's not pounding you to the rim like he used to. Especially with guys like you said, Xavier Tillman is a fine basketball player. Daniel Roddy is a fine basketball player, but these guys shouldn't be able to keep him from the paint. And I just think he settles way too much at this point in his career.
I mean, like you said, Doug, you're from Cleveland. You see where I literally was watching I always rewatch game. Tyler does. I just consistently always, and I rewatch game 1 and 2 of 2015, the championship of ours. Yeah, LeBron's a different. Just put on any tape for the man. Like just dominated. Like Andre Iguodala, get off me. Like I mean, the guy just like took over. So I think that's the LeBron. Tyler, last thought, then we'll move on to the next game.
No, Doug, can I let you eat for a little bit?
Sure.
Like you're from Cleveland. What were your thoughts? Like, just a quick thing on what were your thoughts throughout LeBron in his career when he left for Miami, came back? When he left? What were your thoughts? And then when he came back, I just want to hear someone who's near Cleveland and how they felt about the situation.
2010, 2009, the Cavs were supposed to make the finals. That was the year they were supposed to get Kobe in the finals. And I think when they came up short on that, LeBron realized the writing was on the wall, that we can talk about bringing in another star all we want, but Cleveland never pulled the trigger to really get him a guy who was in his prime to join him. And I understand that now a lot better than I did in 2010, because in 2010 I was distraught. I was hurt. This is the guy that I've watched play since he was a sophomore in high school. So it hurt a lot when he left in 2010 to go to Miami. And I can't lie to you. I went and I went and watched him in Miami. I didn't stop watching the Cavs or anything, but it was hard.
Were you a fan of him in Miami, or were you burning jerseys?
I did not burn the jerseys. That was extreme. I went with Miami because I wanted to see him succeed at the highest level. So I wasn't going to be mad when he went and played with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh.
So you're a rational human being.
So I was happy for him in that way. And then when he came back, it's the best moment of your fandom. We got our guy back. And then we went to 4 straight finals, something we never did. I mean, we went to the 1 in 07, but that was not fair. That was unfair to Cleveland. And then, you beat Golden State in what's probably the best sports championship ever.
The worst, you mean?
If you want to argue, I understand. But
we're hurting our feelings now.
I said the best ever. We're like,
that is the best championship you'll see probably in the next 20 years. You guys are the best team ever, and we came back and beat you guys. I know there's a lot of ins and outs, but that was the pinnacle of basketball.
No, I got you. That makes sense. All right, Doug. That's as we transition.
Thank you for answering.
We appreciate it. As we transition from the Lakers and LeBron. Like we said, game 2. I think we all say this is going to be a tight series. So I think it does come down to what you kind of you talked about just a couple minutes ago. Can LeBron James kind of get back to some of that magic as well? So I think that's going to be a big part for the series going forward. Obviously, Tyler, like we said, we have that Memphis thing, so we're going to get a lot about it here the next couple of days here about the ins and outs. Xavier Tillman, though, like we said, big game tonight, carries them or I would say kind of helps carry them to a win. Obviously, that big first quarter. He's a leading scorer for him. Jackson Jr., I do want to shout him out, got the Defensive Player of the Year trophy today. Just real quick, did you think he deserved it, Doug?
I voted for him on our show. I thought I do have a problem with some things, and if we want to get into it,
rebounding. He doesn't rebound.
I would love to get into it more if you guys want to, but I think you should be docked a little bit for not being able to stay on the floor. When you're playing 1,000 less minutes than your contemporaries that are going for an award, I think that should dock you a little bit. Him only playing 5 minutes a game. He played 1,000 less minutes than Evan Mobley. That's kind of crazy. And I think it's close enough where that should come into play. I personally voted for him because when he's on the floor, he is fantastic.
Yeah.
He is. But the rebounding is a question mark. I don't know. Did he get too comfortable playing with Steven Adams, who's a bruiser, who fights for those rebounds a little bit harder? Did he get too used to doing that where he didn't rebound the same way?
He got 9 today, which to me was a lot.
When I put Triple J for +6 on my bets, I don't feel comfortable.
His rebounding is terrible for a big guy. Like
I'm just saying, that should be something next season. He should go into the year. I want to average 8 rebounds a game.
Yeah,
I want to score 15 plus and average 8. And I think some questions go away, but that foul trouble has to go down.
Absolutely.
But even as a 7-footer, 8 is mild. Like the fact that he's averaging less than 8, we're just hoping for 8.
I was trying to be generous with 8. I was being generous.
I would still vote for him as Defensive Player of the Year if I had a vote because of how good he is blocking shots and contesting shots.
He's unreal at blocking shots. To me,
changing shots.
His ability to his ability to block with both hands too. Like that's the part. Like he doesn't just one hand knock.
You're right.
Yeah, he's just unreal with both hands. So I think that I just wanted to shout that out a little bit, Jared Jack. I think we agree on that part of it. I just didn't see anybody else that was worth it this year other than your guy Mobley. But I just felt like I feel like in the NBA you don't get rewarded.
A year too soon, probably.
Which is whatever. And Jackson didn't play as many games in that regard as well. But all right, hey, let's start to get into Lakers Grizzlies though. That was a great conversation to get into. We had 13 people in there at the time, so that was awesome. They're chatting it up there. All right, let's get to the next game here. We can kind of go through maybe this one a little quicker probably based on it, but Bucks, they crushed the Heat tonight, right? They're putting the wood to them. They're up like 80-50 at halftime, something crazy like that. I guess my question to you guys real quick is how much confidence do you have in the Heat to win another game? Like, how can they actually even win another game in this series? If you have a rate of 1 to 10, Tyler, how much confidence you got? You have
Yes, you mean
zero.
Is Giannis playing another game? If Giannis is playing, the series is over. I said that I was surprised they won game 1, but with the Giannis injury, it changes everything. I thought they would be more competitive tonight. I thought they might even squeak out a win, and Giannis would be forced to come back. They're not beating the Giannis-led Bucks. The Bucks can just shoot the ball. They can defend. They can do everything. They're the best team in the East.
Can they win one more game?
That's
all I'm asking. Can they win one?
Maybe they might. I would bet no.
I don't want to.
I wouldn't be surprised if they won one more. Why is Jimmy Butler shooting 8 of 12 from the field? Why are you only getting up 12 shots? You're the best team player on your team by far. Take control at some point. Don't let this happen.
But I think with Jimmy, you have to consider how much he gets to the free throw line. So yeah, he only took 12 shots, but he also had 10 free throws. So I have that same issue with Jimmy, but to be fair, they were down 30 at halftime. I think Jimmy probably at this point in his career knows when they're cooked. Just an opinion. I'm not positive, but I think 12 shots, and he still led the team with 25. I mean,
he shot great. He was 8 of 12.
Well, but they're just so offensively deficient. It's hard for them to really get going unless their defense is locking down the other team. They're going to have a hard time outscoring the Bucks when they're going. The Bucks I would consider game 1 an admiration. I don't think they have anything that can slow down the Bucks when the Bucks are going. Game 1, the injury really took them off track, I think, and I see this going 5, and I think that's, if anything, that's too much.
Jimmy was also a minus 31, which was
they were terrible.
On the Heat. I know plus minus doesn't always correlate, but yeah. If you're the best player on the team, at least shoot yourself out of the game. If the game's getting that's how I feel about superstars.
Yeah, that's fair. I get it.
I can't hear you, Darren. Darren, you're muted. Darren.
He didn't even play 30 minutes though. Like that was the whole thing with me.
He went minus 31 in less than 30 minutes.
No, they didn't. They were up by 30. Like the
only
game.
One player played over 30 minutes for the Heat.
It was. I meant to say they were up by 30 at halftime. That's what I meant to say there. Okay, I think the Bucks from that standpoint. I think the Bucks are just going to be on cruise control. The rest. This just seems like it kind of reminds me of that one year where Chicago. I want to say Chicago beat Boston maybe in game 1, something random like that, and then that they just. I think it was Boston. I think that's what it was. Chicago beat Miami in game 1, and then Miami just waxed them the next 4 after that when they had Noah and stuff. So that's kind of what this series kind of reminds me of the potential of. Doug, what do you think of this series here real quick? 64-49 at halftime. The Nuggets are over the Timberwolves here. Man, I watched that game 1. I actually just because I love basketball, I watched the Gobert factor. I hate to rip, but man, there's just like you watch them and you're like, I mean, there's 2 centers out there. Jokic is giving you the same thing. And so it's kind of like when you're watching it, it's tough there. Your thoughts on it there on the Timberwolves Nuggets as like we said, the Nuggets are up 15 here at halftime, looking like they're going to take a 2-0 lead over the T-Wolves. Your thoughts there, Doug?
I think it's unfortunate. I have family that lives in Minnesota, and you can tell like it's just kind of not working. They made one of the worst trades probably in recent memory for the NBA. Rudy Gobert has I don't understand how you've been in the league this long now and you don't have a turnaround hook shot. You don't have a drop step. You don't have a move. He doesn't have a move, and it limits them tremendously. I would not be surprised if him or Cat is moved this season, off season. They've got to change something in Minnesota. It always feels like Minnesota's just there. They're not. It's since KG's been there. They have not been. They've just been. Hey, we made the playoffs. That just
exactly
feels like the ceiling. And I think somebody like Rudy Gobert, he just, I don't know. And it doesn't seem like people like him, unfortunately. Like I don't know. He just doesn't get it done.
I think you look at his contract. You look at the deal they gave up, 4 first-round picks. It's hard to be like, oh, this is the guy. All right, let's go forward with him.
Tyler,
and Anthony Edwards hasn't played good the last 2 games. Played a little better tonight. Cat's gone, I feel like, after the season. They're not going to be able to trade Gobert. The contract's too high. What was that?
Can they get a win in this series?
4-0 Denver.
I think they could squeak one out at home, maybe, just because things happen. But I wouldn't bet on it. So, but the roster with Cat and Gobert together just isn't going to win anything. It's two guys who are too close to not the same player, but they can't guard two positions.
And Cat's not a good defender anyway, so it limits them because he has to guard potentially a wing player part of the time, and that guy has an advantage right away. And then you can put Rudy in a pick and roll for quarters on end because Anthony Edwards is not a great defender yet either. So they don't when your best defender is Mike Conley or Taurean Prince, it's okay, but you just have too many holes for Minnesota to really contend with anybody at this point.
And Jokic is just a beast. The man is just on another level than these two guys. So, like I said, we've got Minnesota up 64, or Denver up, 64, 49 and a half, looking like they're on cruise control to a 2-0 lead. Let's get to our question of the day here, presented by Row One Brand. Use that code VSP15. You'll get off 15% off anything on the website there. Go check it out. Maybe a Draymond Sabonis picture. Maybe they have that up on the website already. So maybe they got that up there. The stomp heard around the world, the Stomp the Yard video. One of my wife's favorite movies growing up is Stomp the Yard. That's the first thing I thought of right there. Question of the day: did the NBA make the right decision in suspending Draymond Green for Game 3 of the Kings Thursday night? Tyler, home field advantage. Let's let you go first here.
There's no way this is the right decision. Why they kicked him out of Game 2 in a closely contested game. That's enough. This doesn't fix anything. He didn't provoke this situation. This was brought upon him on he got his leg wrapped. He did something dirty. He did something I felt he deserved to get kicked out of. Some Warriors fans even think I'm going too far saying he deserved to get kicked out of Game 2, like the guy on your top right. I thought he deserved to get kicked out of Game 2. This suspension, I believe, is crazy. I don't know. It doesn't benefit the NBA in any way, in my opinion. Like, what does it do for the league? It doesn't help the league. It doesn't do – and it just makes the Warriors – and then I still think the Warriors will win Game 3 because we're going home and we're going to get a better call off the ball that we haven't gotten one call of people holding Clay or Steph coming around the screen, which is they get held every freaking possession, in my opinion.
Do you want me to pose the opposite of that real quick?
I would love to hear your.
How many years did you get away with moving screens?
We're still getting away with moving screens.
So don't get mad if somebody has to hold you just to keep it fair.
Everybody moves.
I watched you guys kick our ass. I watched you guys kick our asses for 3 straight years. I know moving screens. Keep going. I'm just throwing it out there.
I just think this suspension doesn't help anything. It doesn't there was no ill will going forward that we needed to keep this guy out of the game for Game 3 to make it go smoothly. It was done. It was gone. He left Game 2. Kings prevailed by playing better down the stretch. Just move on with the series. Why are we prolonging this? It doesn't make sense. It just makes things worse, in my opinion.
Doug, I'll let you go here a second. I just got to add on to that with Tyler. He did point me out there with it. If you've seen, I've tried less is more this week. That's been my thing after that. Like I said, I just think obviously I'm an a-hole. I'm a different, I just look at things a little bit. Yeah, exactly. Me and my wife have gotten 800 fights over this thing. It's unbelievable because I'm trying to explain to her. What I say is I just don't see it that way. I'm sorry. I don't know. I get it. People think it's this, but I hate when people use this argument. I just hate it. Well, you must not have played bad. No, that's not what it is. You just don't know. I just didn't see it I saw it as a double T. I just did. That's how I saw it and move on. I know I'm a jerk. I know I'm an a-hole. I know I should be in jail for thinking that, but that's just how I feel about that play. Draymond, let's be honest. Now that I've had a couple of days to think about it, it's obviously the history. What they explained is what got him the suspension. But like Tyler said, the act itself and just what you're doing, I'm not surprised because I lost all respect for the NBA when it came to the Robert Horry and Steve Nash thing. When they threw out Stoudemire and was it Diaw maybe in that game as well for coming out, I literally at that point I was like, this is the most ridiculous freaking thing. Still to this day, that is the worst decision the NBA has ever made and literally changed the championship. But with that said, there, Doug, let's give you the reins here with it for a second here. Your thoughts on Draymond there?
I thought, there's different angles, and it looks like it's harder than it is in one angle, and there's just different factors. I thought I was good with flagrant 2. I understand, get him out of the game, that there's 3 minutes left in the game. And then next game, hey, let's get back out there. These guys are battling. They're battling. I did not love the suspension. I thought the suspension was too far. I want to see Draymond and Sabonis go at it. That's part of the deal. Like, Draymond's a hell of a defender. Sabonis is an awesome offensive player around the basket. Obviously, he's giving Looney problems, so they're moving Draymond on him, and they're getting chippy. This is the playoffs. It did look bad. A stomp looks bad. I think a visual looks bad. And I think this is partially Draymond's fault. He has a history. Like you mentioned, he has a history. And when your history is brought up more because of social media, things are much more readily available now. It's going to be easier to remember the time, he kicked Steven Adams in the nuts, or the time he punched LeBron, And it's unfortunate because Draymond's a hell of a player, but I think sometimes he wants to be the bad guy worse than he needs to be.
Yeah. Actually, I like the way you said that. That is actually probably, and you saw that with Tyler after it, getting the crowd pumped, right? Getting out of the chair. Obviously with Adam Silver, the principal in the thing. I hate the Joe Dumars thing where they put him as the
face.
My
God.
Do you know why they did that though? You know why they did that?
Because
Dumars are close. Him and Joe Dumars are close.
Yeah.
Draymond.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting that he had. Joe Dumars is somewhat of a mentor to Draymond, so I thought that was interesting.
It looked like Joe Dumars didn't even want to be up there when he was talking. This wouldn't have happened if Domantas Sabonis didn't grab his ankle. Like, he admitted it on live TV on ESPN. You're perfectly right. I want a big FU Adam Silver before the opening tip. As the opening tip is going off in Chase Center, as Game 3 is tipping off on TNT, give him a big FU Adam Silver.
You think he'll be there, Tyler?
Not facing the music and making Joe Dumars do your dirty work.
Tyler, do you think he'll be at the game?
I don't know. That's a good question.
That'd be funny if he was at the game in that regard. I think as we kind of wrap up this part of it with the question of the day here, like I said, brought to you by Row One brand. Use that code VSP15 here. I do think the part where I, as a Warriors fan, right, like to me, like I said, I'm always going to be negative about it in some regards. Like the Sabonis rolling around, like the WWE, like just got me there a little bit, and then the Kings come out with this freaking questionable. Per game, just to add
55 minutes after the report,
just to put salt right on it. I feel like that was right there. You know what? As a Warriors fan, and I'm gonna stay true to my wife, if she's watching this still. I hope he's out so that it's even. That's what. That's it.
I hope he has a broken rib after fake. Did you see the dunk? The dunk after to put the game away. He wasn't hurt.
Did you guys really come on? That rolling around was kind of insane. I thought.
I think that also plays into this where the league's gone though.
Yeah.
It pays to flop. It pays to roll around. He has a chest contusion. He'll be out there. That would be an absurd way to miss a game for a minor chest stomp. I do want to post something back to you guys as the Warriors fans. X's and O's wise, is it going to be Kuminga starting, or where do you see the Warriors going lineup wise?
It's got to be number 3. I mean, the man in the starting lineup is much better, don't you think, Tyler? Don't you think it's got to be him?
I mean, he's been so bad, but yeah, he scored 20 points a game. He hasn't been good on the road all year, and that shows why our record has been 9-31 on the road. No, what was the record? Something terrible.
11. They won 11 games.
11. They won the 2 meaningless games. Well, I guess they weren't meaningless, but people weren't trying to win.
It was the Blazers.
At the end of the year. Yeah, Poole should start because he's so important. They have to score points, and he's someone who gets someone.
He's not score like he's.
He's been terrible on the road.
Points are
inefficient. The worst thing about Jordan Poole, he can't stay in front of anybody. He can't guard anybody. He can't guard the Soul. I could beat Jordan Poole.
But that's why I wondered
not really, but
use Kuminga's size to try to counteract and maybe put some more athleticism on the floor.
It's not Steve Kerr.
And you know what? I actually think now that we're talking, I think they'll start DiVincenzo if they're going to start. That's who I think.
He's been trash too.
Yeah, but he was better in game 1. But Steve Kerr likes him because he's competitive and defensively. Kuminga would be an interesting option My brother would approve of that one. I know that. My brother.
I just like his athleticism. That's all.
If I was them, Tyler, though, that's
stretch.
probably better to start with him so he plays with Curry and Thompson and Looney, opposed to coming off the bench playing with an erratic Jordan Poole and Moody. You know what I mean? Kuminga has a better chance for success in that regard, I would think.
Yeah.
And then last thing, and then we'll get to the Thursday games.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you guys feel about the way the Sacramento guards? They've been all over your guys' guards. I've been super impressed. I know you guys aren't thrilled about the physical play, but as basketball fans, watching Davion Mitchell fight through screens and stay on Curry's hip, and watching Fox on Clay, and then watching Malik Monk, these are great matchups. These are great back and forth matchups that we're getting with the guards out west. I think it's been very impressive both ways. Obviously, Sacramento's got a little bit better of it because, I mean, Curry isn't a great defender. He's very solid, and Clay's clearly lost a step, unfortunately, on D. But it's been really good matchups, I think, but guard-wise. These guys are good players.
No, it's been awesome.
Mitchell's
been interesting for me because Tyler knows I wanted him out of college too, but obviously it wasn't possible. I just liked his game.
Not two.
No, but I liked his game. And I think the Kings, I'm starting to realize this as we're moving on. Like, we've said this the whole year. Obviously we want them to win the playoffs, but like we've been saying, like, they're not quite a championship team. I said, if the Warriors win the championship this year, the regular season, which already means crap, would mean even more crap. Like, seriously, the Warriors did not take the regular season serious at all in some regards. And, like, to me, if they won it would just be a total free. The Kings have more bodies right now. They have better bodies to throw at us than the Warriors. They have better players right now. Herter's playing better than anybody right now. Mitchell's playing better than anybody. Monk's playing. Anybody that's throwing athletic. Freaking Trey Lyles is running over human beings and then hitting threes at game one. They're just getting way more production. That's from my thought of it, Tyler. But Mitchell, to me, is a big factor because he can wear out Curry. Tyler?
I agree with the Mitchell factor. He plays great defense, and he's developed a three-point shot that's at least adequate. My biggest – we can't stay in front of anyone. If Gary Payton or Andrew Wiggins isn't guarding you, you're getting past our guys. And the first two games on the road in a hostile environment, if it's 50-50, I feel, as a homer, I'll self-admittedly admit, we haven't gotten the calls. But we're going back home. We're the defending champs. I expect to get a couple more calls. But we're still not good defenders. When we go back game 5, it's going to be the same thing. So we have to figure something out. We just can't guard defend. Clay doesn't stay in front of anyone. Steph can't really stay.
And they can't protect the rim.
Poole is the worst defender in NBA history, baby. I'm being honest.
Jamal Crawford's
the worst defender in the history of the NBA. You have to go Zode when he's in the game.
Yeah, no, he's
that bad.
He has to score to be effective in that regard. I agree, and we've said this the whole year at the Warriors. Last part here is their size.
Minnesota's cut it to 8, by the way.
We'll get there in a second. We'll give us a little update there. Wiseman, when they traded him, they lost any size option. And I like I said, even to Tyler last year, we were doing all these post games after. I was stunned how much the Warriors could get away with playing small last year. Like, Looney just played bigger, and to be honest, he's been good this year, Tyler. But we almost need what he was against Memphis last year. We need some ridiculous games from him because we depend on him so much, and so I think that's going to be a big part of it. All right, let's get to.
I agree with you, but I think we need Wiggins to rebound like we did last year.
I feel like we've talked about the Kings Warriors game kind of enough here in that regard. Here we can give our prediction in that regard. Let's real quick, Tyler. You got the Warriors winning. I know bouncing back tomorrow. Casey said by 25. If this guy Peja does the Twitter thing, he tweeted me back. He goes 25. I go, it's good for our soul. We need that. We need that.
I know. It's gonna be a close game.
Doug, your prediction on the game.
I was going to say, you guys don't play defense enough to win by 25 at this point against a team that was the Kings.
The Kings better not show up at all.
I think it's got to be a grinded out type game again. I know that both teams can score, but who has the ball last? I think without Draymond, this could be trouble, guys. If you guys go down 3-0,
we're done.
It's over.
It's going to be a problem because Looney only has 6. They're going to be feeding Sabonis the ball because they don't have any backup for Looney.
Kuminga is going to be key.
Without Draymond being there, they're going to put Looney in a lot of pressure, pick and rolls, post injuries to Sabonis. It's going to be tough. If you guys do win, I think it's probably 3 to 4 points. And if Sacramento wins, it's got to be probably 5 to 10. I'm worried about you guys without Draymond for more reasons than one. Ball movement, help side defense, rest for Looney on Sabonis. Like you said, Trey Lyles hasn't played this good since Kentucky.
Yeah.
There's a lot of problems going into this game 3. I understand that Golden State crowd is going to be a major boost. And if Curry and Clay get going early from 3, then sure. I still think it's going to be a grind at the very end.
Can the Warriors get anybody, as we say, from it other than Curry? Yeah, so who's going to step up? Wiggins going to be a little bit better there. What do you think about Brooklyn, Philly? You think Philly gets another win on the road there, Doug? Or you think Brooklyn, Bridges, they kind of fought back a little bit last game. You think they can pull out a win?
I like what Brooklyn has going forward, but I think they are a year away. I think they are a couple positional places off the bench away, but I do think Bridges is a very good player. I'm really happy for him showing up. He can be a number 1, and I think that's great for Brooklyn going forward. But you're dealing with the league MVP more than likely. James Harden had a not so great game in game 2, but I think the Sixers have more answers than Brooklyn poses questions. Yeah. It took Cam Johnson having a 28-point game where he shot really well for it to be relatively close, and then Philly knocked down some threes late to kind of stretch it again. I've got Philly in 4. I just think because here's the thing, you can give it to Embiid, and Claxton just doesn't have the size to stop him. And when he gets doubled, he makes the right play every time. I think it's hard to beat good basketball consistently in the playoffs. Tyler, so I've got Brooklyn losing in 4.
Tyler, what do you got to win in tomorrow night?
I got the same thing. Joel Embiid is too good. James Harden played terrible in game 2, and Tyrese Maxey stepped up. And
I'm liking
my
him
biggest
more and
motto
more.
Watching these playoffs is if you have a pick from 10 to 20, you take the player from Kentucky. They just seem to work out. You get studs quickly.
Azubuike, remember
Booker. The John Calipari Kentucky Wildcats. Not these damn Tubby Smith Wildcats. Yeah, I think Philadelphia wins. Joel Embiid is he's great. As much as some people don't like him for how much he talks or how much he trolls on the internet, when you watch him play basketball, I think he's the most dominant player. Next to Giannis, you could fight. I wouldn't fight with you if you said Giannis. I think they're the 2 most dominant players in the NBA right now.
Tyler, who do you like tomorrow with the Clippers game, though? Clippers.
I got the Suns.
Dude, that series is going to be – that's been a fun one so far. Even the last game I pulled away. Leonard is the guy where I'm like, Tyler, if I'm being honest with you, I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot. A little.
I mean, he has 2 finals MVPs.
Well, he should be fully rested, as we said. He should be fully rested.
And Tyronn Lue said that himself. They're like, what do you feel about him playing 40-plus minutes tonight? He said, well, we rested him in the regular season for a reason.
He played like
I think Kevin Durant's still a better player. He can do more on the floor. He's bigger. He can shoot better. He's not quite the defender, but I'd still rather have Kevin Durant. And then you had Devin Booker and Chris Paul and DeAndre.
But going back to LA, does LA sneak out game 3?
Maybe if it was 2-0, I think the refs might give them a little advantage. That's how much I feel about the NBA. The refs decide these things in a way.
Who do you got, Clippers or Suns in game 3 tomorrow night?
I have the Suns. I think this is a similar issue, but with a little more talent than Brooklyn. Kawhi has kind of shown us why he was who he was considered for a while, that top 5 type player. On both ends, he gets it done. That game 1 performance he put on was impressive. Game 2 was a little bit different. The Suns I don't remember them missing a mid-range jump shot. That might be the most mid-range jump shots ever made in a game in the last 20 years. It's just the Suns play a really nice style of basketball. They have Chris Paul, Devin Booker, who went off for 38, really put the team on his back there when they needed him. And you've got Kevin Durant, who can bring you home in any game. He's just that damn good. They've got decent size with Ayton, and Torrey Craig is a decent swing guy who is a little bit of a two-way, good defender, okay three-point shooter. I just think without Paul George, it's too much to overcome going forward in the series. So I'm going to give Suns the nod in game 3.
Yeah, I'm going to go Clippers tomorrow night. I think Leonard I just feel like he's playing at a high level. I like Powell. for them a lot. I like what he's brought to their table. And Plumlee, Tyler's weird. I had this thought. God, I wish he was on the Warriors. Like, I never would have thought I would ever say that, but like, he'd be a good like backup, like Deludi right now. Like, man, just another guy that could just do a little bit of everything in the current role. Like, I'm gonna take them to win it tomorrow night. I still have the Suns winning the series though, but I'm gonna take the Clippers to win the game tomorrow. Give us a bonus one here, real quick. I know they don't play tomorrow, but you're here from Cleveland. I heard you guys last pod. Now, let me get straight to Kinsey. He's a Knicks fan, the guy you're on with there. So it was kind of fun listening to your guys' last podcast, discuss it a little bit. Just for tomorrow or for the next game, game 3, and you can give us our prediction for the series. Obviously, I know you got I heard you guys who you picked, but you saw the first 2 games play out. You guys come back for a big game 2 win. Your thoughts there, sir, on game 3 and moving forward here?
I think game 2 was a blueprint for the way the Cavs have to play. Yeah. If you guys watched the game, it was I think it took the Cavs a couple minutes, but it was physical probably from the 5-minute point on, and it was hard-nosed basketball. They let Randall and they let Robinson kind of push them around in the first game, and that was apparent by the misses around the basket, the lack of rebounding. They got out-rebounded 51-38 in game 1. In game 2, it was a completely different story. Everybody was tougher. The lineup changed a little bit. We got to see some Danny Green minutes. Okoro only played 3 minutes. The guy has potential, but he's not ready for these kind of things. It's shoddy at best. Friday night, I fully expect the Knicks to come out, and I expect Julius Randle to be uber physical right off the bat with Mobley after the late foul where I didn't love the chase down by Allen, but I'm not going to sit there and act like he hammered him into the third row on purpose. No. It wasn't like Kurt Rambis or anything crazy like that. So I expect
even a technical Kurt Rambis, just to remind
the way Randall acted like he just got clotheslined into the fourth row. I really do expect the Knicks to come out and be very, very tough. I wouldn't surprise me if they won game 3, but I do expect the Cavs to take a game in New York and come back 2-2 to Cleveland.
As a Cleveland fan, is Garland kind of the key, you feel like?
When Garland has to make a decision, I have to be aggressive, because you saw in game 2 he was uber aggressive and Mitchell kind of gave him the space that he needed. I don't want Mitchell to take too far back, but Mitchell also has 21 assists in 2 games. So yeah. I will take that give and take with him. Mitchell is the key, Garland is the key going forward. I also think Mobley should be scoring around 15 points a game. So if we could get him back up to there, I don't think the Knicks can beat us in a series. But the Knicks could get hot. That's the problem. They have not shot the ball terribly well in these first 2 games, and obviously that's an issue.
Mobley's always interesting to me. Tyler talked about that earlier. Like, he's good offensively, but he kind of has that Kevin Garnett feel where he's not natural all the time with a lot of things on offense, but he's so good on defense. He makes up with a lot of it. Tyler, your thoughts on that game 3?
Just the Cavaliers in general. I think Garland needs to handle the ball more. I think Mitchell is a great offensive player, but 30 shots and 16 threes in game 1 is way too many. Let Garland take a little load. Garland is a good player. He's proved it 2 years in a row. I think he should play the point. Let Garland be a scorer. Let him do his thing. As far as Mobley,
is Garland smart enough to be like that though? Like, does he understand the moments like that? Like, he seems a little score heavy.
Here's the thing: if you watch the Cavs this season and last season, Garland is not a good clutch player. He's turnover prone. And he's just not he's not a late game shot maker. Garland does handle the ball a decent amount, but in the NBA, your best player has the ball. Like, that's it's kind of just, and Garland just was super hot last game. 30 shots is a lot, but if you watch, watch them, nobody else wanted the ball.
There is that.
Well, that's an issue then on the whole team. If that's the case, I don't like the team going.
Game 1, I was upset because the rest of the team didn't want that. He was dragging them along, and that's a problem. And it was completely different in game 2. But I want Donovan Mitchell on my team because I know that guy wants the ball when it matters most, and he's proven he can do it at a high level. After game one, 30 shots is a ton. He
5
still
turnovers
shot,
game one.
he still shot
I just wasn't
48% though.
It seemed volume to me.
And he shot what, 35% from 3, 30 or 48 from the field. I mean, it's not like he was, and he led the team in assists with 8 assists in that same game. So 38-8. Yeah, he shot 30 times, but he was efficient and he got the ball to other players too.
No, but I'll be perfectly honest. I saw the stat line. I didn't watch much of game one. I just saw the stat line, and I was like, how the hell Garland only have 1 assist? This guy shot the ball 30 times. He had 5 turnovers, and he had 8 assists. Like, it just didn't – I was like, something is awry here. You're not going to win any games with that, like, type of – especially when both your guards are 6'4" and above. They're both not great defenders. Yes, Mobley and Allen are very good defenders who will protect the paint. I just thought game one was a terrible game. They're never going to win like that, in my opinion.
It was terrible.
And
I totally agree. That was terrible.
And they bounced back with a good win in game two. Mitchell's defense, though, like maybe it's not great, but man, I've seen a lot of improvement this year in that regard. What the Utah days last year.
That's what it is, though. It's about effort. Like you gotta want to be in somebody's chest. This is playoff time. If you're not playing defense, I don't know. I can't do anything with you.
And they didn't win the game, but he made that great play game one where he saved it out of bounds and it went over to him there with it on that play there. All right, let's get to the final recap here. Oh, and by the way, I was going to say on your show, Hoops of Agenda here, you and Kinsey have a very
great show.
A great breakdown of the Knicks Cavs series. I loved how he was like, RJ Barrett, you're like, what? Like, like he's bringing up, you're like, he's not better than that. It was good stuff.
Not a factor. Not a factor.
I just thought it was hilarious, some of the stuff you guys were going back out there. So, all right, show me something. This is kind of the end of the show here. We'll kind of give our final thoughts of I'll go, Doug, give me a team. It's got what player needs to step up, show you something here, a team, a player, anything. What do you got? A referee, for God's sakes. Anybody step up.
I would like to say Scott Foster has to step up. There's no reason Chris Paul should have got a win against Scott Foster last night. That is unforgivable. What, he was like 0 of 11 in the playoffs with
Keep
Scott
the streak
Foster.
alive.
Crazy.
I agree.
Scott Foster, his post-game interview, guys, I just didn't have it tonight. That kind of like that one's just jokes aside. Anthony Davis, guys. Anthony Davis. You're dealing with Triple J, you're dealing with Xavier Tillman. You're the best offensive player on the floor. I mean, he did end up with 20 the game one and they got the win. He only had 13 and 8 tonight. I know he got hit in the face, but I'm tired. I'm so tired of the Anthony Davis nicks and bruises and injuries. It's not a good enough excuse anymore. He should be dominating this series. He should be getting Triple J in foul trouble. He should be trying to play him off the court. And when Xavier Tillman switches on you, or the tall guy starts with an A, I believe his last name. I can't think of his name.
Santi Adalma.
Thank you. It wouldn't click for me. Get him in the game and dominate him. But I think Anthony Davis has 5 more games to dominate this series. I think he has the ability to do it, but I haven't seen it yet. 20 points isn't enough for me. I know you guys got the win. Be the best player on the team like you guys were in 2020 and you went and won the championship. I think he's a prime candidate for somebody who needs to step up.
I think that's a good call there, Tyler, with it. Before I let you go there, Denver, you might need to show me something. You're down 3 quarters. Wake up. Let's go. We were just giving you high praise. Do I need to slap you around here? Show me something a little bit here. Tyler, what do you got?
I got it, Kevin. Come on, Looney. Draymond's out. Somebody's got to stop Sabonis. There's your shot. You played great all postseason last year. Haven't really stepped up to the plate this year. I need Wiggins and especially Kevon Looney. Rebound the basketball. Keep guys in front of you. No open lanes to the hoop.
What was that special game he had against Memphis? Like 23 rebounds or something crazy like that in that closeout game there with it.
He was so good last season in the playoff run. It was I like watching them. I was like, what the hell? Where did this guy come from? He never has done this before. I mean, he's a solid player, but he was just on a different planet last season. And now, I mean, Sabonis, he just beats him up. I mean, it just feels like he's too much for Looney right now.
Yeah, and I think it's not the best matchup for him in terms of just like Sabonis is kind of low to the ground like that too. So they're both going to be physical in that regard. And But I think Looney can, for a game or two here, step up a little bit. So that's a good call there, Tyler. With it, I got a couple here before us. I want to see the Sixers and Embiid finish this series off in 4. There's no reason this series should go 5 games at all. This is a 4-game series. Let's get it over with. I also got the Warriors bench. Anybody, hello, wake up. Are you alive? Come on. Anybody, hello. Can we just be there? Jordan Poole. And then we talked about it. I got the Clippers. And you know what I mean? Like, I honestly, at the beginning of the year, I thought they had one of the better rosters at the year. I was kind of scared of them. They got the 5 seed. They have Leonard, who they've spent a lot of time with managing during the year. I don't know. Game 3 at home. This is a game where I feel like you should win. The Suns, as we said, Tyler, they have a great starting lineup, but my goodness, I mean, their bench is not it's not anything to write home about. So I'm just saying, like, come on. Like,
Durant Booker's tough, though. It's just a dynamic duo.
Is that the best duo? Do you guys give them the best duo?
I don't know. I got to see it.
I
got to see it longer.
You give it to the
Celtics. It does look damn good, though.
Boys.
It does look
good. Definitely better than the Celtics duo, in my opinion.
I don't know, man. It's kind of crazy to have 2 guys average 25 on that kind of efficiency, but I think
Tatum and Brown. This is a big year for them.
Better than Booker and Durant.
No, I think it's a big year. If they win the championship, right?
Well, then they're better.
Yeah, that's my point. I said this is a big year for them in terms of doing that.
I think it's close enough to have a conversation. Was my point. That's all.
Yeah.
I think they're in the same conversation.
I agree. I think they're right there with it. Garland, Mitchell, no. Curry Thompson, they used to be there with it. That's what I have there with it. So, all right. So that's our show me somethings of the week here with it. Like I said, big games tomorrow. 3 of them. NBA weirdly puts the Warriors and Kings at the same time as the Clippers and Suns. Get your act together. Just stupid. What are we doing there with that?
Yeah. What is the 30-minute break in? But like, what are we?
Do what we used to. Put the East Coast teams like that, not the West Coast teams like that. What are we doing? It's because we don't have the Pacers in the playoffs. The Pacers always get us the NBA TV games.
The NBA TV games are stupid.
I put TJ Warren and Danny Granger on NBA TV.
There you go.
Those Pacers teams used to get it done, man.
They did.
Danny Granger used to be a player.
Definitely a problem.
Danny Granger was he was a good player there for sure. Yes. Was it UNLV or New Mexico State? What are those?
New Mexico.
Yeah, I feel that's they have the similar colors. Always kind of throws me off there with it. Doug,
Sean Marion.
Doug, as we wrap this up here with it, we call it a podcast. I hope we can do a few more of these with you throughout. We're going to do them every other day here through the podcast. Your knowledge is obviously unbelievable towards basketball here, and I hope we can have you on more as we do this here on VSN. Obviously, we've talked about your show here a little bit. Do you want to maybe plug it here for a second? Tell people where you can find you at.
Guys, we are over on House of Agendas. We record every Friday, and then we're usually put it out on Saturday morning. We would appreciate you guys just to check us out and give us a chance. We do have we're a little bit lighter on sports. Like we give our takes and everything, but we like to have fun. We like to jab back and forth. We're probably going to make you laugh. We make ourselves laugh a lot. It's just we just try to make sports pretty fun, and we would appreciate you guys just checking in. Obviously, keep checking out this podcast. This is a hell of a podcast. These guys do a fantastic job. It was an honor to be on with you guys today. If you guys need me ever again, I am literally a message away. It was great being with you guys tonight. Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, don't ever threaten me with that. So I'll definitely hit you up more with it as we go. Obviously, here throughout March, we know you do your basketball. Like I said, I've listened to your pod here for a while now, so I know you guys know your stuff. And like you said, you guys do bring up other stuff, comic book stuff. I've heard food, all those items like that. And obviously, as our podcast is Fat Boy Fadeaway, food is obviously an item in there as well. We like to talk about. So we, Doug, the other thing too I wanted to say about you guys is that you guys do a very good job in a short amount of time bringing up so many topics on your podcast. I've always, you know what I mean? I always say that. Like, you guys hit on so many things. You do it well. So I want to just kind of just say people like what you said. Go follow their podcast. They do deserve it. They work. And I can tell you work hard at it. And I respect that a ton. And you're a Dayton fan. I have one last question for you, okay? Because I don't know, you probably see my Twitter. I like to every day.
I hate all Millers.
One picture of a college player.
I know, I love it.
So Dayton's always kind of a player I've looked at a few times with like players I could go with to try to trick people. Seems like Obi Toppin is considered the best player in Dayton history by far. That's what I've seen on lists. I don't know. Maybe you can help me out with this. Give me a couple guys here I need to maybe post going forward here.
So the best.
And what are your thoughts on Archie Miller after?
See, but here's the thing. Like, I don't get mad at guys who want to to take the next step. I mean, Indiana was the next step from Dayton. Obviously, it didn't work. I don't think a lot of people failed at Indiana. Really,
I didn't know he went to Indiana. Yeah,
he left Dayton for Indiana. Yeah, he left Dayton for Indiana. A lot of guys have failed at Indiana. I think Woodson's done a solid job, but it's not like they're winning the Big Ten yet. I mean, it's a tough. Indiana's a tough job. And then obviously it didn't work, and now he's at Rhode Island. He was a hell of a coach for Dayton. I can't, nothing to really set bad about the guy. It's just Dayton's not a Power 5, and they're not the Big Ten. I understand if somebody wants to go to the next level, go ahead. And then the best player in Dayton history is probably Roosevelt Chapman. He played 3 years at Dayton.
Sounds like a president.
Hell of a player. Smooth, really good game. Obi, he's probably the most
he was the highest drafted player, right?
Yes, he is the most glamorous player that Dayton's ever had. The dunks, the between the legs.
My brother loved him, man. I'm telling you.
He said he should have got number 1.
My brother loved him.
Number one would have been pretty wild. And then, you always have the greatest what-if season ever in 2020 in Dayton history. They would have been a 1 seed, and you never know what can happen in March Madness with Obi and those guys. So I think Obi was the most flashy, glamorous player. Roosevelt Chapman's the best player Dayton's had.
Give me is there a fan favorite you had, though? Like somebody you enjoyed that? Like, obviously, I'm a Cal fan, so I always remember guys like just like random guys off the top of my, like to play deep. Is there a guy that maybe?
Yeah, I mean, when I was growing up, Dayton has a 5-day basketball camp, and during the camp we would go and eat pizza and sit in the stands while some of the Dayton players would dunk and shoot and stuff.
Yeah.
My favorite player growing up was Tony Stanley. He was a shooting guard. He probably averaged about
that's what 12, I'm talking about, right?
12 points a game. He was my favorite player growing up. Loved watching Tony Stanley play. We've got season tickets to Dayton, so I've seen a lot of basketball.
Look out for Tony Stanley, people, on my Twitter account at some point this next year.
I can't wait.
Get him out there. I got to get – I always just – I'm fast. I told – Tyler knows – history of sports is I'm always just interested by this crap and stuff like that. So, like I said, it's awesome to have you all there, talk about that stuff. You do the Dayton show, too. I listened to that podcast as well. So that was really interesting to listen to your college knowledge over there. I'm always fascinated, Tyler, that the play-in games have always been in Dayton, Ohio. Just a random fact there for people. It's always in Dayton, Ohio, these play-in games for the NCAA tournament. I have no idea why, but that's why they're there. So, is there a reason they're in Dayton, Ohio? Seriously, is there a reason?
Ticket sales. It's a hotbed. Those games sell.
They definitely wouldn't sell here. We know that.
You're going to get at least probably 8,000 people for a play-in game, and that's just people in Dayton. That doesn't even count people coming in.
That's
Dayton
crazy.
sells. Dayton just loves basketball. We just love to watch basketball.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. They're with it. So, Doug, like I said, awesome having you on here doing the postgame with us. We'll be sure to hopefully join us a few more with it. Tyler, last thoughts here before we call it a podcast. You thought anything for Doug here before we call it a pod?
I mean, first off, the Warriors need to pull out a victory game 3 down 2-0. And Doug, thanks for coming on. Great thoughts, great knowledge. I appreciate all your the way you think about the game makes me think in different ways, makes me come at angles in a certain way. So thank you. Check out House of Agendas.
Appreciate you guys.
Send me another damn picture of Kings in 6. You said.
Hey,
yeah, that was fucked up.
You post a picture and I'll find a way to slide it in there. I also wanted to ask, do you guys are you guys excited about getting beat by Kentucky Light? Is that cool for you guys? You're really getting beat by a bunch of Kentucky guys.
Dude, if we lose, honestly, you talked about Cleveland being 2 hours away. Literally, me and Tyler could drive to Sacramento in an hour and 45 minutes. That's how close we are to Sacramento. That's where we grew up. We're in Northern California here.
We're assistant coach. I watched him coach our team in the playoffs last year when Kerr couldn't hack because his back was hurting and he was doing terrible. I was like, Kings, thank God you got this guy because he sucks. And now he's beating our ass.
Shout out to Mike Brown. He was a former Cleveland Cavaliers Coach of the Year.
Yes, he was.
Congrats on the second award. Well
that
deserved.
was a LeBron James award.
Hey, whoa. Mike Brown tried.
He had Larry Hughes.
Just because he held the clipboard,
Larry
Hughes award.
Well, Warriors. The Larry Hughes made our love hate
Warriors
list as well.
I appreciate you, Doug.
All right. VSN.
And check
we
out
had 12,
VSN in
13
general. Variety Sports
Yep. We
Network.
had 13 people in here. It was fun tonight, guys. We'll be with you probably on Saturday or Sunday here, wrapping up another weekend here with it. We'll get Doug on here shortly again. Until then, peace. Later.